Hey everybody, Punisher88 here, and it's time once again for a movie review. That's right, folks. I know I was supposed to do this on Monday, but due to working a 12-hour shift and just having no energy and it basically throwing off my whole schedule for the rest of the week, I just wasn't able to do it on time. So therefore, you guys are getting it today. But I did say on my Facebook page that I guarantee you that I would have this video out before the end of the week. So here we are. So, what movie am I reviewing? Well, if you haven't seen already from the title of this video, today I'm going to be reviewing Kong Skull Island. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Actually, before I continue, I know that there are probably a couple of you out there who still haven't seen the video, or the movie I should say. So, there is a strong chance that I may be dropping spoilers here and there. So, I apologize ahead of time, like with all my movie reviews. So, just fair warning. Alright, so as the U.S. military begins formally withdrawing from the Vietnam War in 1973, the struggling government organization known as Monarch is presented with a golden opportunity. With satellite photos having just revealed the existence of an uncharted location known as Skull Island, long hidden and generally inaccessible to the outside world. With their window of opportunity soon to close, the Monarch employees, one Mr. William Randa, played by John Goodman, and Houston Brooks, played by Jason Mitchell, hastily assemble an expedition to the island to discover what mysterious life forms reside there under the pretense of conducting a basic geological survey of the landscape. So with a team that includes former SAS captain and expert tracker James Conrad, played by the awesome Tom Hiddleston. I say awesome not just because I dig him as Loki. I think the job he did portraying Hank Williams Sr. was amazing. The Hank Williams Sr. biopic, so good. Anti-war photojournalist Mason Weaver, played by the beautiful Brie Larson, and the Sky Devils helicopter squadron led by one Lieutenant Colonel Preston Packard, played by the ever so awesome Samuel L. Jackson. The Monarch-run expedition to Skull Island gets underway. However, almost immediately upon arriving on the island, these humans come face to face with Kong, a massive ape-like creature that doesn't take kindly to these outsiders, dropping explosives and trespassing on his home turf. And as those who survive the initial encounter with Kong soon discover, he's not even the most dangerous creature that resides on Skull Island. Oh no, there are far more worse things than Kong. And whereas director Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla reboot mostly plays out as a self-contained reimagining of the Godzilla mythos, director Jordan Vogt-Roberts' Kong Skull Island is very much a reinvention of the King Kong mythology, designed to pave the way for a larger shared cinematic universe, a la Marvel and DC, known as the Monsterverse. And Skull Island is closer to being actually a glorified pilot for the Monsterverse than a standalone film-going experience as a result. Yet, it manages to hold up its end of the bargain when it comes to delivering proper blockbuster entertainment and value and whatnot. Kong Skull Island is a shared universe launchpad that fulfills its promise of big, goofy monster mayhem, setting up even bigger things to come. Literally bigger, as it were. Kong Skull Island, in turn, provides a solid origin story for the MonsterVerse version of King Kong, upon which future movies can be built off of. The film's screenwriting team of Max Borenstein, Derek Conley, and Dan Gilroy, plus Tom Gattens receiving screen story credit, really tweak the classic elements of the Kong mythos enough to effectively paint the eighth wonder of the world as being the MonsterVerse equivalent of a superhero dedicated to maintaining balance in nature and his home territory. Skull Island thus draws clear thematic parallels to the Godzilla reboot's portrayal of the King of the Monsters as a semi-benevolent force of nature, and its version of King Kong simultaneously planting the seeds for these two monsters to both eventually fight and possibly team up with one another. Wouldn't that be awesome? King Kong and Godzilla teaming up together? Oh man. And as with Godzilla, this also means Kong Skull Island's Skull Island, it's late, prioritizes world building and development of its namesake over fleshing out its various human players. While most of the human characters in Kong Skull Island never evolve beyond being two-dimensional archetypes, they do benefit from being brought to life by a talented and charismatic cast. As was the case with trailers for the film, the standout in the Skull Island cast, I think, is John C. Reilly as Hank Marlowe, a former World War II fighter pilot who's been stuck on the eponymous island for decades, and by the time the other characters arrive there, he's this lost in time kind of character. The idiosyncratic but good-natured and funny Hank provides a proper foil to the movie's other best-developed human player, and that is military man for life, Lieutenant Colonel Packard, brought to life through a scenery-chewing, in a good way, performance by Samuel L. Jackson. Packard's descent into madness, fueled by his post-Vietnam state of mind, isn't as compelling as was seemingly intended, but Jackson makes the human antagonist a fun one and even gets to riff on some of his most iconic movie moments, including his famous line from a certain prehistoric blockbuster, if you catch my drift. Yeah, he says the line, and when he said it, I was like, oh, he went there. Like the Packard character, though, Kong Skull Island as a whole draws heavy inspiration from Vietnam War movies such as Apocalypse Now. Heavily, actually. Which is okay because I love Apocalypse Now. In creating its fantasy version of the immediate post-Vietnam world. And while that historical context does serve this reimagining of the King Kong mythos very well, the film is actually more successful at recreating the color palette and aesthetic of Vietnam War films, giving them a modern polish, and then channeling their spirit, making Kong Skull Island more of a surface level imitation of those movies rather than a thematically rich homage. And while that said, Skull Island delivers much in the way of visual striking, giant monster spectacle, and jungle adventuring. And thanks in no small part to the sharp photography by cinematographer Larry Fong, Vought Roberts also succeeds in bringing a quirky touch to the proceedings that recalls his indie film debut on The King of Summer. Excuse me. At the same time, balancing the film's tonal shifts and giving the tentpole proceedings in Skull Island more personality than they might have possessed otherwise. Skull Island maintains a steady and kinetic sense of pacing throughout its runtime, but again, this comes in part at the expense of better developing its human characters. MCU fan favorite Tom Hiddleston and Oscar winner Brie Larson do fine work in their respective roles as the movie's human co-protagonists, but their character arcs here are pretty straightforward and conventional. The same goes for John Goodman and Corey Hawkins as the members of the Monarch organization leading the expedition to Skull Island, though their on-screen counterparts likewise benefit from being portrayed by a pair of capable character actors. And one thing I gotta add, like with Kong remakes in the past, I like how Brie Larson's character in this movie gets to follow in the footsteps of Fay Wray and whatnot, where she gets that brief intimate moment with Kong, So I thought that was a nice throwback. And watching it from the get-go, when I saw her character and how she was reacting to Kong, I was like, they gotta give her moment with the big guy. So I was happy they did. Kong Skull Island has too massive a supporting cast to give them all equal time in the spotlight, but it still carves out enough room for players such as John Ortiz, Tian Jing, Thomas Mann, and Toby Kebbell, I think that's how you say his name, to each get a brief moment to shine, with Shea Wiggum and Hawkins' Straight Outta Compton co-star Jason Mitchell as members of Packard's unit, proving to be the most memorable. Of course, the humans of the Monsterverse are growing increasingly aware that their planet doesn't belong to them, and Kong Skull Island further drives this point home. In the process, delivering a rollicking giant monster adventure that sets the stage for even grander monster brawls down the line. In particular, during the film's post-credits scene, I got goosebumps when I watched that, especially hearing that roar. Oh my God! What a age to be alive! Getting all these superhero movies and Kong and Godzilla and it's a great time to be geeking out over movies. Anyway, those who are not fans of the Godzilla reboots, slow burn approach and build up to its monster battles might even find Skull Island to be a fitting antithesis, seemingly tailored to address their criticism by Warner Brothers and Legendary. Whatever the future might hold, though, for these studios, sorry, these studios' MonsterVerse, there are now firmly established versions of the icons King Kong and Godzilla to play around with in this particular sandbox, and I think it's glorious. If I was to rate this video, sorry, not this video, this movie, I would give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. So, yeah, it's good. It's very good. Especially that touching scene at the end with John C. Reilly, because when they find him and he tells the group the one thing he wants to do again once he gets home, and he gets to do it. I thought that was a nice little touching thing they did with him and everything. So yeah, it's great. I mean, the monsters are awesome. Although I wasn't really a fan of those weird, what are they called? Those weird spider skull clicker or whatever the heck they're called. Wasn't a fan of those. The other beasts on the island, like you actually see a giant spider or this giant water buffalo that looks like it's the size of a giant tugboat. You know, the monsters and just animals in general and whatnot on this island look awesome. So I mean, it's not perfect, but it's still again very very good, and I urge you all out there to go give it a watch. So anyway, folks, that brings us to the end of another movie review. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give her a thumbs up. If not, give her a thumbs down. And if you enjoy movie reviews like this one, well, I'm gonna put a playlist together like I do with all my other all my other videos. I'm getting movies and videos mixed up today. Anyway, I'm gonna put a playlist together of all my movie reviews, so you guys can go check them out. And also, while looking around my channel, make sure to comment on any video you like, because I love reading them as well as answering them. And also, while looking around, of course, make sure to like or dislike any video you watch. Yes, I did say dislike because, let's face it, no one's perfect, right? And then, when all is said and done, before leaving, make sure to click that subscribe button. Alrighty? So that's it for now, but I will see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday comic review, where I will most likely be reviewing the new Punisher Daredevil issue number 1. And as for movie reviews following this, I watched the other night the new Beauty and the Beast. I'm a Disney fan. I mean, I grew up with the cartoons and whatnot. I mean, how can you not love Disney? And I will be honest, I thought it was very good. Amongst all this so-called criticism of a gay character and whatnot, I thought it was good. So there's a strong chance I may be doing a movie review of Beauty and the Beast within the next week or so. So be on the lookout for that. Alrighty? So, till the next video, this is Punisher88 signing off. See ya!